MeMonster.
Chapter 301. Clunk. A dark sea at night, devoid of even a single star. The Anating came to a halt, its lights casting a dim glow over the waves. 10,000th dimension. Clunk. 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 Fuel was injected from the rear of the Anating, but the airship refused to move forward. It had reached the boundary of the field. No, more precisely, the boundary between servers. After bringing the Anating to a stop, I walked toward the bow. This is strange. Frey leaped off my shoulder and flew ahead, feeling along the invisible wall. There was definitely a door here. You're saying there's nothing now? Yeah, the GMs use this passage all the time, so it should never be closed. If they shut it down, the entire game would stop functioning. I took a deep breath. The recent raid had been broadcast live to the Masters. Their cherished heroes and fleets had been wiped out by a mere gesture of the boss. No veteran player would stand for that. By now, every pick-me-up community was likely in chaos. The game, which had barely been surviving, had just taken a fatal blow. Are you saying they've abandoned game operations? They were developing a new title anyway. Then the path to Server 1 is... I let out a short laugh. So this is how they plan to stall for time. I stretched my right hand forward. Shrek! Crimson-black scales emerged across my entire arm. Hundreds of dragon scales writhed along my forearm, coalescing into the shape of a blade. Dragon scale sword. It wouldn't be as efficient as Bifrost, but it would suffice as a temporary weapon. Step aside! Frey flapped her wings and backed off. Gripping the hilt tightly, I thrust the sword into the empty space. The tip of the blade sunk into the transparent wall and vanished. Didn't they say there was no escape? Crackle! Fierce lightning surged along the blade. They had sealed this tightly. The passage connected to Server 1 was encased in dozens of layers of firewalls. Clang! I twisted the blade sideways. A sound like shattering glass echoed as cracks formed along the barrier. Unauthorized intrusion detected. Unknown error. Unknown error. Unknown. Boom! I drove the blade into the hilt. Warning! Error 0032. Critical error detected. Immediate response required. Then I yanked out the dragon scale sword in one swift motion. The cracks spread rapidly, and soon a dimension gate shattered like a broken window, a makeshift passage to Server 1. Frey paled and shook her head. Well, I knew I wasn't exactly normal anymore. The more I used it, the more I could tell this ability to manipulate universal data and alter the system wasn't meant for an ordinary being. Maybe this is what Tell intended. But if she was waiting for me to lose my humanity, she was sorely mistaken. No matter how twisted my mind became, there was one thing I would never forget. I'm going to kill you! I dismissed the dragon scale sword. Once I stepped through that dimension gate, I'd be in Server 1. There was no time to hesitate. I needed to move immediately. Just a heads up, once we go inside... Wait. I turned to the side. Frey was staring blankly up at the night sky. I followed her gaze. The sky remained dark. What? We don't have time. Just a moment. Just one moment. Frey blinked a few times. At that instant, warning! Unknown error! Error 3912! Critical error detected! Immediate response required! Flash! A brilliant white light flooded the sky. Master Anating, welcome to Pick Me Up! Among the scattering starlight, a holographic message appeared. Loading complete. Touch. Select. I halted mid-step. This girl, she was banned. There's no way Mobius had lifted the ban at this point. The cause wasn't hard to figure out. I had just broken the server's rules. The resulting system-wide error had also lifted Anating's restriction. Seriously, how obsessed with the game was she to log in the second her ban was lifted? After everything that happened, she should have given up by now. Up above, the light flickered chaotically. Is she looking at me? Her screen wasn't showing a lobby. The moment she logged in, she had directly accessed the field where I was. Loki! I know. The Master's role was already over. With the game itself collapsing, Anating had nothing left to do. Once the server was restored, she'd be forcibly logged out again, this time permanently. Pointless. I adjusted my cloak and stepped toward the dimensional rift. A few steps later, I stopped. Anating was still watching me. Idiot. Narrowing my eyes, I let my influence flow freely, connecting my consciousness deep into the system. I see you. A small, plain room. The faint light of a desk lamp illuminated a young woman gripping her smartphone tightly. So tightly, in fact, that her fingers had turned white. So this is what she looked like. Not too different from what I expected. Hey! The moment I spoke, crash! A loud clatter rang out. I smirked. Of course she'd react like that. A character inside the game had just spoken to her. I had experienced something similar myself. Anating frantically scanned her room as if searching for a ghost. I'm here. Your phone. I'm speaking from here. What? You think this is fake? Believe whatever you want. I just have one last thing to say. Quit this garbage game. You've been screwed over this badly and you're still playing? You're practically a professional slave. Have some self-respect. Don't you feel ashamed in front of your family? But... No buts. That's all. Beep. I severed the connection with Anating. Her face, her trembling voice, all gone. But I had no interest in whatever she was about to say. I nudged Frey's side with my elbow. What are you waiting for? It's closing soon. The dimensional rift was sealing itself. If we hesitated, the passage I had forced open would vanish, and Anating's connection would be severed again. This is the end. I glanced at the flickering light in the sky. Our connection was over. She was from Earth. I had chosen to stay here. Once the servers shut down, there would be no more intersections between us. Let's go. I stepped forward. Just as the gap was about to close, Anating's screen flashed. Gift shop. Purchased a Warhorse figurine for 5,000 gold. Gifted Warhorse figurine to Han 7-star. A small, white figurine landed in my hand. I narrowed my eyes. A child's toy. I stashed the figurine in my pouch. Well, one keepsake wouldn't hurt. Han 7-star is pleased with the Warhorse figurine. Affinity increased. Crackle! The holographic message in the sky shattered. Connection terminated. Error 7919. This account has been sanctioned for unauthorized program usage. For more details, please visit the Customer Support Center for one-on-one assistance. Sanctioned accounts will... I secured the pouch to my belt and looked forward.
The dimensional rift was collapsing. Frey.
Yeah?
I have one more favor to ask of you. Frey turned to face me. I continued speaking. If you dig through my data, you'll find a record of my assets on Earth. It should be quite a lot. About 3 billion won in cash, if I remember correctly. Plus, there's a few plots of land somewhere in Gangnam, a high-rise office building, and a foreign car. Transfer everything to anything's name. Wasn't that your backup plan for returning to Earth? Who knows when I'll go back? What's the point of leaving it to collect dust? I scratched my cheek. Your net had gifted me those assets when I had still been considering returning to Earth, but they were useless to me now. If I do end up returning, I can just take it back. I know his face and his address. Even if he tries to play dumb, it won't work. Are you really okay with this? Of course. Frey held my gaze for a moment, then vanished in a scattering of stardust. She had likely accessed the server's database to retrieve the necessary information for the transfer. That task wouldn't take more than an hour. By the time I faced Tell in battle, she'd be back. As for anything, if fate willed it, we might meet again. I stepped through the closing dimensional gate. A flood of light engulfed me. My body was disassembled and reconstructed in an instant. I won't forget. I burned the fading memories into my mind over and over. Even if I lost all my past recollections, there was one thing I couldn't afford to forget. I reached into my pouch, my fingers brushing against the solid surface of the warhorse figurine. That firm sensation reminded me of who I was. And then, 0000th dimension, EDEN. I landed soundlessly. Brushing the dust from my sleeve, I scanned my surroundings. It was deep into the night. Crackle, crackle. A broken neon sign sparked erratically. I had arrived on the rooftop of a dilapidated skyscraper. Server 1. I stepped toward the edge of the building. A vast metropolis stretched out before me, its true scale indiscernible. Hundreds of high-rise buildings loomed in the distance, and an intricate web of overpasses intertwined across the city like a spider's web. Sleek, streamlined cars glided smoothly along the roads below. This place, it resembled something out of a cyberpunk film. No doubt about it. Far in the distance, piercing through the clouds, stood an ultra-high-rise tower. Even by rough estimation, it exceeded a height of 1,000 meters. That had to be Mobius's headquarters. Countless aerial drones hovered around the building, their spotlights sweeping the area in constant patrol. I'll better take a good look. I widened my eyes. A vast city where hundreds of thousands resided. Directly below me, throngs of people bustled through the streets, their voices blending into a lively murmur. This is the place I need to destroy. I stepped off the edge of the rooftop. Whoosh! Gravity took hold, and my body plummeted downward. Just before I hit the ground, I twisted my body mid-air. Boom! Screech! The asphalt road flipped violently as cars skidded and crashed. Ah! What the hell? I pushed away the debris pressing against my torso. Climbing out of the fractured pavement, I dusted off my cloak. A person? Who is that? Citizens backed away, whispering among themselves. Huh? Mobius employees, huh? Whether they'd been dragged here against their will or had voluntarily joined, they were now working under Mobius. Given that they managed almost 1 billion dimensions, it made sense that their workforce was this extensive. At a glance, they seemed like ordinary city dwellers. Sir, are you all right? Gah! The suited man who had reached out to me was flung backwards. Touching me so carelessly could be dangerous. Slowly, I began walking down the main road. Chapter 302. Step. The sharp sound of leather boots striking the asphalt echoed through the city. Hundreds of people crowded the streets and alleys lined with shops, their voices a low, uneasy murmur. I could feel the weight of their stares prickling against my skin. Of course, in this city, a beacon of cutting-edge civilization, a man clad in leather armor and a tattered cloak was bound to stand out. I was a jarring anomaly in this world. Looks like they've been living well on their own. Mobius employees enjoyed every luxury of modern life, while monsters and heroes were forced to live like animals. That's how it was, huh? Who is that guy? Is it a photo shoot? Still, I couldn't bring myself to blame them. They were just following orders from above. The ones I needed to crush were the 32 executives at the top of the company. As for the rest, unless they got in my way, I had no reason to bother with them. Beep! Suddenly, a red light flashed from a steel street lamp. A warning siren blared from the speakers lining the streets. Level 1 alert! Attention all Mobius employees in Eden Sector 14. The high-risk wanted criminal Loki has been spotted in this area. The city defense forces have been dispatched for containment, so all employees must evacuate immediately. I repeat, this area contains a level 1 wanted criminal. Despite the evacuation order, most citizens didn't budge. Instead, they watched from a distance, as if I were some zoo animal. Some even recorded me on their phones. Well, I suppose that made sense. No hero had ever invaded this place before. That's the one from the rumors, the one who turned against the CEO. How did he break through the first server's passage? What was the defense force doing? Not that it matters. He's probably just another one of the CEO's playthings. I drew the dragon scale sword from my forearm. With a flick of my wrist, I swung it lightly. Swish! The whip-like blade, extending up to 3 meters, swept across the road ahead. The flexible dragon-scale whip coiled around the cars packed into the 4-lane road and sent them flying. Boom! An SUV spun through the air and crashed into a shop window. The dragon-scale sword twisted again. The cars blocking my path bounced away like pebbles. Splat! A citizen, too busy filming me for social media, was crushed underneath a falling car. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere, and only after a series of explosions and flames engulfed the street. Ah! Run for your lives! Did the crowd finally scatter like ants. Idiots. I had no intention of committing a massacre, but I also had no intention of holding back. If they got in my way, I'd kill them all. This wasn't a battle between good and evil. I had no desire to play the righteous hero. After all, what I was about to do would overturn the very laws of the universe, to force the dead to rise from their graves. I can't be an angel. If anything, I'd be a demon. I let out a low chuckle and twisted the dragon scale sword. The blade, made of interlocking dragon scales, stretched and twisted in an eerie fashion, sweeping across the entire road. Boom! Boom! A series of explosions erupted. The support pillars of the overpass collapsed. Parked cars went up in flames. The asphalt cracked and caved in. Screech! Dozens of cars racing towards me screeched to a halt. I didn't stop. Vehicles impaled like fish on a skewer were flung into the air. Ah! Where's the defense force? Take out the terrorist! The city instantly plunged into chaos. Fires raged across the ruined roads. A monster has appeared! Gah! Citizens fled en masse from the buildings lining the streets. They scattered in the opposite direction from me. They're coming soon. In the sky above, several helicopters armed with missiles and machine guns approached. Behind them, a fleet of floating warships lined up. Master Loki, this is your final warning. Cease all terrorist activity and disarm immediately. I simply lowered my index finger. Crack! The steel helicopters crumpled like paper planes, erupting in flames before exploding. Huh? With each flick of my finger, the helicopters twisted and deformed as if someone were crumpling a sheet of paper. Crunch, snap, crack. The helicopter squadron was destroyed before they could even fire a shot.
Tell me, did you really think you could stop me with this trash? Pathetic. This wasn't even worthy of being called a welcome party. With a mere glance, the state-of-the-art airships crashed down. Mobius, Inc. 569 Level 99 City Defense Forces appeared armed with modern weaponry. That won't be enough. I flicked my cloak. Whirr! A series of large and small violet magic circles materialized within the swirling fabric. Fire! Boom! A superheated beam blanketed the front lines. The defense forces standing in formation and ready to fire were vaporized in an instant. You're watching, aren't you, Tell? I told you you can't stop me. Boom! A second volley of energy blasts. 17 beams shot out in different directions, curving as they flew. The light cannons wiped out an entire battalion in an instant and pierced through the high-rise buildings behind them. 3 skyscrapers caught in the blast began to collapse. A few dozen buildings toppling over didn't concern me in the slightest. Swish! I swung the dragon-scale sword once more. The blade, now extending over 100 meters, coiled and cut through everything in its path. Buildings, shopping districts, overpasses, vehicles, tanks, helicopters, airships, all were sliced apart. Mobius, Inc. 357 Level 99 City Defense Forces, 89 Level 99 Delta Rangers. More forces poured in from all directions, but it was meaningless. Rifles, machine guns, missiles, even tank shells were all deployed, yet, boom! I flicked my cloak again. The 3 guided missiles approaching me were caught in the swirling barrier, twisted around and launched back in the opposite direction. Boom! Boom! It didn't matter if they sent 100, 1,000, or even 100,000 soldiers. The result would be the same. They'll all become my prey. Countless particles of light formed throughout the city, drawn into my body. Each corpse left behind a single fragment. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. Less than 10 minutes had passed. The outskirts of the metropolis were utterly annihilated. Groans of the wounded and the sound of explosions filled the air. The cries of people trapped in burning buildings echoed through the ruins. I retracted the dragon-scale sword. Boom! Please spare me. A soldier, missing his lower half, crawled along the ground. I walked over and crushed his head beneath my boot. The casualties, including the civilians, it was likely in the tens of thousands. Not that I cared. You crazy bastard! How could you commit such a massacre? You'll be struck down by divine punishment, you piece of trash! The CEO will chop you into pieces and... I flicked the dagger into his forehead.
Judging by the insignia on his shoulder, he was the commander of the defense forces. Not that it mattered, he was just another piece of trash to be disposed of. Help? All around, the wounded, missing parts of their bodies, writhed and groaned. I walked leisurely through the burning streets. The Mobius headquarters building was growing closer and closer. What is this? I stopped walking. Not far ahead, a girl stood in the middle of the road, dressed in a pure white one-piece dress. She had a fresh, delicate appearance and wore a bright, radiant smile. Tell. So you finally show yourself. I knew you'd been watching. It's a projection. Tell's figure flickered and distorted. Her real body was definitely in the highest floors of Mobius headquarters. This is beyond expectations. You just went and started destroying the city outright. Silence. You just slaughtered tens of thousands of innocent lives for no reason. What a disappointment, Loki. I thought you had at least a shred of sympathy left. But I guess blood doesn't lie. You really are the monster who devoured all of Taunia's children. I ignored her and kept walking. Oh? I came all this way to greet you, and you're just going to ignore me? Silence. I came to correct the little misunderstanding you seem to be having. Loki, do you really think that just because you absorbed a few low-tier gods, you can beat me? Silence. I was even willing to show you mercy despite your miserable situation, but you just had to betray me like this. I mobilized an entire fleet for you, personally sent you a message, and yet, this is how you respond? Silence. This is your last chance. Stop throwing your pathetic tantrum and come back to me. I swear on the name of the goddess, I will restore the 2 dimensions you're so desperate to save. You'll never get this chance again. If you refuse this offer, and if I refuse, I stopped walking. Then I smirked. What are you going to do about it? Then you die. Oh? Don't get cocky, you piece of trash. Do you really think that absorbing the handful of third-rate gods makes you strong enough to defeat me? You think you can take on all of Mobius? You think you can beat us? I turned around. Tell's flawless, jade-like face no longer bore a trace of a smile. Her expression was as cold as ice. You really don't know your place, Loki. I don't like men who can't grasp reality. You should be begging for mercy right now, yet you have the nerve to act so arrogantly. Silence. Do you not know what happened to El Cid when he defied me? Here, let me give you another example. From Tell's right hand, a black mass emerged. It took the shape of a human, then collapsed onto the road, bloodied, severely burned all over its body. Its skin, oozing pus, was grotesquely charred and peeling. The figure let out a faint, voiceless moan. Low. Low. Sizzle. Pick Me Up's director, the deputy of Alpha Zero, one of the 32 executives and the one who gave me hints about El Cid's truth. That once proud and fearless woman was now nothing more than a lump of flesh writhing on the ground. This is bad. Her entire body was covered in third-degree burns. Of course, this wasn't an ordinary injury. The burns eating away at Sizzle's body were saturated with all kinds of curses. As long as she was alive, they would never heal, and she would suffer unending agony. She had lost nearly all of her dying essence. She was nothing more than a half-dead corpse stripped of all her powers. If this was what happened to her, then Alpha Zero was likely already... Betrayal, huh? I suppose they were punishing her for giving me information. Loki, I'm back. Ting! A twinkle of stardust flashed beside me, and Freya appeared. This means anything is officially rolling in wealth. Freya twirled in the air, scanning the area. This looks like quite a mess. It was nothing special. By the way, this patient here, who is she? Freya's expression twisted in a grimace. Sizzle. Sizzle? You mean, that's Sizzle? Wait, no way. That's Sizzle? What the hell happened to her? I'll explain later. I grabbed Sizzle and hoisted her up, tucking her under my arm. She let out a pained groan, but that wasn't my problem. Chapter 303. I climbed the shattered stairs of the ruined shopping arcade, Sigil slung at my waist like a rag doll. 10 minutes had passed since the first battle in Eden ended. Every jolt of my stride drew a faint groan from Sigil, but I didn't slow down. Endure it, even if it hurts. Don't expect me to be considerate. Just be grateful I didn't kill you. She had already lost her divinity. The overwhelming power I'd witnessed on Mobius's passenger ship was gone, leaving behind only the shell of someone who once called herself a god. That's why Tell had tossed Sigil at me without a second thought. Thud. She tumbled several meters across the floor, finally slamming into a wall. Crackle. Fzzz. Sparks burst from the severed wires dangling from the ceiling. I dragged a chair from the middle of the hallway and sat down in front of Sigil. The pick-me-up game director's secretary, Sigil. That's you, isn't it? Nod twice if I'm right. Her shoulders trembled. Then she nodded twice. Lo. She tried to say my name, but her vocal organs, her vocal cords, everything, were completely ruined. All that came out was a hoarse, indecipherable moan. Ahem. Frey fluttered down, landing on Sigel's shoulder. I glanced at him. Can you do it? Yup, I'll try. Good. I placed my hand on Sigel's shoulder, letting my interference force seep into her crimson skin. I've temporarily cut off your nerves. You should be able to move, at least. She said nothing. Frey's going to synchronize your senses with his now. Just say what you want to say. Frey closed his eyes, his whole body shimmering with blue light. I'll ask again. Are you Sigel, the first-class secretary of Alpha Zero? Yes, that's correct. Now we can finally talk. I crossed my legs, still seated. Sigel writhed where she'd fallen. Thank you. Thank you for sparing me. Cut the act. I had no sympathy for her. On Mobius's passenger ship, the Pioneer, Alpha Zero and Sigel had given me a false choice, revealing only what suited them. They'd conveniently omitted that the pick-me-up game stage ended at the 90th floor, and that the world couldn't be restored. I only spared you because I need you. Crushing Tell and the company wasn't the end. While I fought the fragments at the boundary, I needed someone to restore Townia. Of course, that wasn't something just anyone could do. In that sense, Alpha Zero is the best option. The core architect of Pick-Me-Up's system. He'd betrayed me, but I knew one thing for certain. He wanted to revive Mobius. Frey will be the foundation, and Alpha Zero will back him up. That would be enough for the restoration. Any clashes with the fragments along the way, I'd handle them. Do you know why I spared you? To gather information? That's just a side job. The director? That's right. I need that pervy old man. With my ability, I could easily bind Alpha Zero. Brainwashing, contract, whatever I chose. Loki. Sigel crawled toward me, clutching at my feet. Please save the director. He's still trapped in the company. He's holding out somehow, but if a little more time passes, that woman will devour him. I know. I was planning to head over there right after we finished talking. Thank you. Don't get all formal with me. Just do your job. I crossed my arms. I'm going to bring this city down. Soon, the entire dimension will vanish. So, what's your role? Evacuation. There should be a decent number of useful personnel here. Even if you were expelled, you're still a top-ranking executive. Get them evacuated outside. Handle this well, and I'll lift the curse on your body too. That's not necessary. Not necessary, she said. No matter what the reason, I deceived you. I toyed with the fate of the beings in this universe. That is undeniable. You don't need to lift it. I will carry this pain as a mark of my sin, to the very end. Looking like that? Yes. I shifted in my chair. These people are hard to figure out. They stab you in the back and now they want to repent? I can feel immense power from you. Sigel looked at me with her ruined eyes. Have you made a decision? What decision? That is none of your concern. Just do what you've been assigned. Shing! I drew a dagger from my belt and focused interference force onto the blade before tossing it beside Sigel's head. Use this. You should be able to move at least that much. I reached through the shattered window of a clothing store. A long coat hanging on a mannequin flew into my hand. I set the hooded coat beside the dagger. Put on some clothes, too. It's not a pretty sight. Cover up. Thank you. Snap. I flicked my fingers. The blue magic flowing from Frey's body vanished, breaking the sensory link. Good job. Frey perched on my shoulder. After a glance at the collapsed Sigel, I turned away and started down the stairs to the lower floor. There wasn't much time left. Tell wouldn't just die quietly. She was definitely plotting something. Whatever it was, I was confident I could crush her skull. But that didn't mean I enjoyed the hassle. Before that, I reached the first floor of the arcade. A convenience store sign blinked beside the exit. The interior was a mess, but a few intact items caught my eye. It's been a while. Grab. I picked up a sandwich from the refrigerator shelf. A convenience store sandwich. Instant food that cost around 2,000 won each. Can I have one too? Why ask me? Do what you want. Okay. Frey zipped over, grabbed a banana milk and poked in a straw. Sip! Her mouth puckered as the yellow liquid vanished into the PET bottle. I smirked at the sight, then took a bite of my unwrapped sandwich. Between the bread were ham, ketchup, salad, and dressing. No telling when I'd get to enjoy such luxury again after today. Frey. Yeah? Here, you eat this. I handed the half-eaten sandwich to Frey. She tilted her head, then stuffed it in her mouth until her cheeks puffed out. I see. I couldn't taste anything. I see. I couldn't taste anything. The moist texture of the bread, the crunch of vegetables, the tanginess of ketchup. I spit out the chewed piece of sandwich. When I opened the glass door and stepped outside, a bitter wind swept down the street. This weather. It's cold. I wrapped my cloak tighter around my shoulders and started walking toward the road leading to HQ. I can't feel anything. Not the sandwich's taste, not the chill of the night wind brushing my cheek, not the firmness of the asphalt under my feet. Suddenly, my vision blurred. The countless colors that had harmonized were torn apart. Black and white. I couldn't perceive any other color. As if watching a black and white film, everything felt distant. Clack. I gripped the statue in my pouch tightly, rolling it in my hand a few times, reaffirming its texture. Before long, my senses returned. It's already come to this? Not yet. There's still work to do. I pushed off the ground with force in my toes. Thud.
With each step, nearby cars were flung away. Only a few 100 meters to HQ, I dashed across the winding overpass. No one's here? The streets and buildings were empty, probably because an evacuation advisory had been issued. Looks like no more small fry are being sent. That was good for me. I didn't want to waste time. In the middle of the road, I leaped 10 meters into the air and ran up the side of a building. Soon, I reached the plaza at HQ's entrance. Mobius Inc. City Defense Force Level 99 × 317. Hundreds of heavily armed defense forces had set up barricades. Warning, Master Loki, disarm immediately and... I threw a jab into the air. Boom! A several-meter-high barricade, reinforced with steel, was blown apart. Ugh! You saw me earlier. Still don't get it? I clenched my hand. Crunch! Dozens of soldiers were crushed into pulp. Not even worth using the dragon scale blade. If we hold out just a bit longer, reinforcements will... Out of my way. I slashed my index finger to the side. The hundreds blocking the entrance were swept away like a tide. Fall back! Retreat for now! They started running with their tails between their legs, away from HQ. Smart choice. Who knew how they'd get caught up in this? I opened the triple revolving doors and entered the Mobius Inc. building. Mobius Inc. 1F. The interior was dark. After 3 steps, the lights flickered on, illuminating the surroundings. You've arrived. Beyond the reception desk on the first floor stood a middle-aged salaryman in a neat suit, someone you'd see anywhere. You are the foolish hero who dares oppose the company, I presume. I saw your display just now, but don't assume that's the extent of our power. And you are... Oh, how rude. I'm late with introductions. I am a god belonging to the throne of all creation, acknowledged by the president and permitted to serve as a director. Step. I walked toward the checkpoint beside the desk. It was a vast space, but no other employees were present except that man. VAGS XXUZ Level 999. As you can see, I work for the greater cause, for the poor citizens of our universe. Countless years, thousands, or even tens of thousands spent in earnest devotion, watching over the masses. And yet, beings like us, for worthless insects, exerting this much effort, and trash like you dares to resist. The man's eyes split horizontally. Fiery magic spilled from his gaze. I'll kill you. Thunk. I grabbed his collar and lifted him up. Cut the crap. Cook. Hey. Ka. You'll regret this, worm. His eyes locked on me. Brilliant blue flames wrapped around my body. I am Heartkent of the sacred flame, the incarnation of fire since ancient times. You know what happened to Sigil? Ka-ha-ha, that was my doing. Burn. You'll regret defying me. Whoosh. My skin melted in an instant. My fire never goes out. It will reach your heart and burn forever. Forever? Huh? I looked at my right arm. Beneath the melted skin, black dragon scales shimmered. Listen well, Han. Halcyon's booming voice echoed in my head, his proud declaration from long ago. These dragon scales are invincible. No blade can pierce them. That, if you truly awaken my power. I thought it was nonsense, but now I understood. What? It should have... Crack. I snapped his neck, then pierced through his chest with my hand. Wait! Got it. I clenched my left hand. At the same time, his body shuddered and exploded into a flash of light. My cloak fluttered as waves of light seeped into my body. Whew, that was close. Frey zipped over from where she'd been hiding. She'd wisely vanished the moment that guy appeared. Loki, you actually did it. Would I not do it? The first of 32, judging by his interference force density, he was probably the lowest ranking among the directors. Just tossed at me to stall for time. You think that'll work? I raised my right hand. Whoosh! Blue flames began to burn in my palm.
Chapter 304. Flap. The hem of the suit worn by the man who had introduced himself as Heartkent fluttered in the air. I didn't care about the bastard's name. I hurled his corpse against the wall. The body, reduced to ashes, crumbled away. Mobius Inc. 1F. Ground floor of headquarters. After passing the checkpoint, I walked down the hallway. I could have gone straight to the top floor by taking the elevator, but the buttons didn't respond. They must have deliberately blocked its operation. Climbing one floor at a time didn't seem like a bad idea. They wouldn't be able to leave this building anyway. Hey, Loki. As I was about to head up the stairs at the end of the hallway, Freya flew over. She sprinkled stardust and circled around me. There's a basement in Eden. Did you know that? Basement? Us fairy-type employees stay there. It's right here, close by. Freya zipped downward, tracing a circle with her tiny hand in a gap beneath the stairs. Ha! Fairy power! Clunk. On the steel wall that had been sealed off, a side door appeared. Freya grabbed the doorknob and yanked with all her might. Open sesame! Heave-ho! Inside the tiny door, less than a meter tall, a swirling black vortex spun. I scanned the hole with my eyes. The interior scene of the door unfolded in my mind. Time and space are mixed. So that sense of discord, that was the cause. Beyond the door wasn't a vast space like this city, but various other worlds torn like puzzle pieces and stitched together. It's the entrance to fairyland. Cool name. I heard it when I was going to fairy school. They say a vault full of gems is hidden in there. It's a rumor, though, so not totally reliable. It's not a rumor. It's probably true. Power could be felt from inside the hole. A strangely familiar sensation. I recalled Freya's explanation that Earth's money inherently holds interference power. Most likely, Mobius's internal reserves were hidden in this vault. Click.
I drew a dagger from its sheath. It was the last one I had left. We'll split up from here. Yeah, I want to rescue my juniors in Fairyland too. Freya took the dagger from my hand. If you need more, just draw on my power as much as you want. We're connected, so it should be more than possible. Loki, what about you? I'll go upstairs, beat down the directors, and put an end to Tell. Freya gulped, then held her palm up to me. I understood what she meant. You're such a goof. I chuckled and slapped her hand. High five. Freya smiled, satisfied. Then, deploying! Here I go! Freya darted into the hole. With that, I was left alone. Crack! I clenched the statue again. Every time the sharp edge grazed my palm, my dulled senses came back. Today, I looked out the building window. The city at dawn shimmered with the lights of the nightscape. I'll finish it before morning comes. I dashed up the stairs. Mobius Inc. 2F. Ra-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. As soon as I stepped on the second floor, machine gun fire burst out from somewhere. I swung the dragon scale blade wide. Delta Ranger, level 99, times 53. Slash. The whip blade tore through the concrete pillars, dismantling the heavy machine guns and special force troops one by one. It was all pointless. Even if a whole division came, not a scratch would land on me. Mobius Inc. 5F. What the hell is that? I heard he was just a 7-star hero. Just realizing it now. You guys are expendables. Mobius Inc. 13F. To kill life. I was growing numb to it, like breathing in and out. I felt nothing. Each floor I ascended, dozens of special units or corporate executives tried to block me. Weak. The dragon-scaled whip ripped through fragile flesh. The massive glass wall turned red with blood. Mobius Inc. 18F. I smashed the crown of the head with a hammer. The humanoid monster's eyes rolled sideways. When I smashed down again, it was flattened into a lump of raw red meat. Fairy Lab, Special Specimen XY, level 217 times 127. About 2 meters tall, pitch black skin packed with grotesquely dense muscles. Where its face should be was disturbingly flat. Clones of 7 stars, maybe. They seemed to be copies made using top-tier heroes as the base, bodies as hard as steel, moving faster than sound, with punches packing several tons of force. You could call them walking weapons. Whoosh! I twisted my neck to the side. A battering ram-like fist brushed past my cheek. Crack! I caught his fist in my palm, twisting left. Snap! The clone's whole body crumpled like a wrung towel. Boom! It was crushed in an instant. In my hand was a silver hammer, the main weapon used by the executive I met on the 17th floor. For small elite squads like them, a heavy weapon suited better. Too easy. Easy. No thrill. I could see right through their movements, even if they were machines with optimized battle patterns based on countless in-game missions. Why are they so weak? I put the hammer away into subspace. Hundreds of clones lay scattered across the wide hall. Not a single one retained its form. Gods are supposed to turn back time, shatter space, stuff like that. But this is all they can do? Breathing fire? Being a bit faster and stronger than others? That's it? Mobius Inc. 31F. Please spare me. I'll explain everything to the CEO. So please... Whoosh. Blue flames leapt onto the man's body. Hellfire, thousands of times stronger than when used by its original owner, consumed him. Whoosh! The inferno surged, as if to burn the whole floor. Despite the havoc, the headquarters building didn't collapse. It seemed to be protected by some special power. I could probably destroy it with force, but decided to leave it be. If Tell escaped in the chaos, it would be troublesome. I absorbed the melted corpse of the executive. Weak. Beyond expectations. Objectively, these guys were stronger than 7-star heroes. But compared to the chaos surging inside me, they were nothing but straw. Can beings like this really be called gods? I took a deep breath.
A burning heat spread through my body. With every second, I grow stronger, immeasurably so. The data of those I absorbed was being compressed and interwoven ever more precisely inside me. Absorbing 4 divine beings didn't mean I only had 4 times the power. The density of power grew like a snowball the more I used it. Mobius Inc. 84F. I don't know how many small fries I've dealt with, at least 1,000. On the 50th floor, a group of divine beings tried a joint attack, but I crushed them without much effort. As expected. Their ranks were higher, and they did use some unique powers, turning back time, ripping space, twisting causality, manifesting illusions into reality. Some of them even had power on par with ancient-class beings I absorbed early on. But my impression remained unchanged. Like bugs. Pathetic. Useless. Why should I sacrifice myself for such trash? Was I wrong to fight for such trash? At this rate, I'd rather kill them all. Bang! I slammed my head into the wall. Shut up! Blood trickled from my torn forehead. My perspective has changed. I was instinctively looking down on them, like a human looking at ants. Not just Tel, but also Priya, the prince, Ceres, Urnit, Jenna, Velkist. Everyone seemed worthless. Only then did I realize, a true God has no emotion, no self, merely a program carrying out orders in accordance with the laws of the universe, like those fragmentary beings who only repeated destruction. Administrator, was it? That was the true identity of Tel and the executives. They were clumsy beings caught somewhere between God and human, incomplete imitations of gods. Mobius Inc., 92nd floor. A large office. Each desk had a high-end computer, even deluxe printers, fax machines, copiers, just like a big corporation's office. No one here. Looks like the staff evacuated in a hurry. Confidential documents were scattered all over the hallway. Annie! A cheerful girl's voice rang out. Beyond a fallen swivel chair stood a girl in a stylish business suit. This is an illusion from millennia ago. She looked just like Tel, but the atmosphere was different. How do I look? Suits me, right? CEO! I really like the title. I want to save the people here. Ikar, Tel's younger sister, who now had become a biological battery. She was talking to someone. Mobius Inc., 95th floor. Headquarters, 95th floor. A hallway tiled in white stretched on. Dear citizens, thank you for voting. From now on, I'll be your representative and work hard to build a better world. Ahem, my sister and I aim for a Mobius where all life is happy. We're still lacking and inexperienced, but we'll try our best. Please be kind to us. Ikar's projection wavered. This time she wore a fluttery white robe. On the armband draped over her shoulder were the words, "Congratulations on winning." I see. Representative of the gods. Hence the title CEO. It seems the position was chosen by vote. Memories from those I absorbed flowed into me. The number of beings once called divine was beyond count. Pantheon. Before Eden was established, that's what Server 1 was called. Why did the gods disappear? Simple. This universe had already perished once. To turn back the cycle, the gods of the Pantheon were sacrificed. Mobius Inc., 97th floor. Annie, why didn't it work? We tried our best. Is this punishment from the god? I don't want it to end. Mobius Inc., 99th floor. Annie, this place. Mobius Inc., 100th floor. Clunk. I opened the door at the end of the hallway. The light of a magnificent chandelier tickled my eyes. A luxurious CEO office built of white marble. Ooh-hoo-hoo-hoo! A jet-black leather chair swirled around. A girl swirled a wine glass in her right hand. It's a beautiful night.
On a night like this, we should celebrate. Gulp. The golden liquid slid down the white throat of the girl. Blah. They said it was expensive wine, but it tastes like crap. Tell threw the glass and stood from the chair. I stepped onto the red carpet. Any last words? Last words? Tell's lips curved as she looked at me. Don't talk nonsense, Loki.
Chapter 305. I surveyed the room. In front of the desk where Tell sat, a large round table dominated the space. 32 chairs encircled it. No doubt the very seats where the directors once gathered to decide the fate of the game. "Why don't you just sit anywhere?" Tell said, propping both legs up on the desk. Her white legs ended in black shoes, a stark contrast that drew the eye. I closed my eyes, then opened them again, letting my senses expand. The presence of the entire conference room unfolded before me. Not just what was visible, but everything hidden in the shadows as well. The number of directors I dealt with was less than 20. That meant nearly 10 divinities were still unaccounted for, yet I couldn't sense them anywhere. If those who should have been here had vanished, there was only one explanation. I looked at Tell, who grinned at me from across the room. "You ate them all up, didn't you?" "Yeah, I went to the trouble of giving them executive seats, but they were useless at their jobs. No need to keep them alive." Tell smiled, her lips curling as black veins pulsed along her neck. She seemed to be in considerable pain, her brows furrowing. So that's why she stalled for time. Instead of attacking with her subordinates, she'd chosen to face me after devouring them. She must have needed time to digest. But it was reckless. I could tell from a glance that she wasn't in a normal state. The veins twisting across her skin were ominous. Even if she's a top-tier divinity, there's a limit to how much interference power one can absorb. Her power isn't infinite. Stronger than the others, yes, but the limit is clear. She can stop the server's time and intervene in various ways, but she doesn't fully control the system. She just clings to it, and even that comes at a tremendous cost. "You were really strong, you know. I didn't think my guys would get crushed like bugs. I was impressed. Back when we first met, you were just some kid good at games. Time sure flies." I drew the dragon scale sword and walked toward Tell, who was still babbling leisurely. "Loki, you're going to act like this to the very end? By the time tonight ends, one of us will be dead, and a new era will begin. Who will be the victor? You who surpassed the limits of your kind, or me, the god above gods?" Bang! I slammed my foot into the floor. The dragon scale sword, thrust out like an awl, shot toward Tell. "Really, this is why I don't like impatient men." Tell snapped her fingers. The round table spun and flipped, and the magic circle engraved on the wall blazed to life. Crackle! Bzzz! Hundreds of thousands of tons of gravitational energy pressed down. I stopped in my tracks. "Of course you didn't die. I poured in interference power of 3 directors. You should have died without even leaving a corpse. Monster. You really are a monster." "Tell? What do I have to do to kill you? Blow your head off? Pierce your heart? Or should I chop you into pieces?" "No, even that won't kill you, right?" Tell smiled slyly. I reached out my right hand and began to tear away the restraints of interference power that had spread like spiderwebs. Just as Tell said, in exchange for sacrificing my humanity, I was losing the very concept of death. I had already become a being higher in grade than her. This petty trap didn't hinder me in the slightest. If given just a bit of time, I was confident I could dismantle it completely. 10 minutes. Crack, crackle. The magic circle that enveloped the room was gradually fading. "Phew," Tell whistled, then rose from her chair and walked toward me. "O you who transcended fate, your end will be more miserable than mine." Tell's hand brushed along my neck. "You will continue an eternal battle in endless time. No one will remember you. Forgotten, unable to feel anything, you'll fade away as a ghost. Is that truly the ending you desired?" "Whew," Tell blew sweet breath into my ear.
Are they really worth saving, even with such sacrifice? They hate, resent, envy, and kill each other? They're just bugs. What if you chose differently? We could bring about a far greater ending. You and I. We could even fight the Reapers beyond the boundary. We could save Taunia, save Niflheim, save this Mobius. We actually want the same thing. So why fight? Isn't it foolish? Think a little more rationally. Protecting Mobius, that was my little sister's wish. I have the power to revive this world. You have the strength to fight them. So then, tell? Nice last words. Crack. I stepped forward. Part of the binding magic circle ripped apart. Fine. Tell clutched her face. From between her fingers, a gloomy laugh slipped out. So that's how it's going to be. Crackle. I stepped forward again. With a flash of light, half the magic circle disappeared. None of them satisfied me. That old man, he backed out after I built the company and laid the foundation. Those lackeys who just bowed and clung. The underlings who only wanted to mooch. You're no different. Vroom. A dimensional gate opened in the corner of the conference room and someone stepped out. A girl in a pure white funeral robe. Itkar. The server computer of Pick Me Up. She had definitely been in charge of suppressing the fragments of the boundary. Un? Ikkar's gaze turned to Tell. Soon, her unfocused eyes gleamed like obsidian. Uni. Ikkar ran toward Tell, a big smile on her face. She should have lost her self-awareness. I'd tried so hard for you. Blood sprayed from Ikkar's chest. Ah! Tell withdrew her hand from Ikkar's chest. In her palm, a black heart pulsed. Useless girl. Thump. Ikkar's body collapsed. Polluted blood began to spread from her corpse. Ha ha! Tell crushed Ikkar's heart. Forced synthesis. A black shimmer surged into Tell's entire body. Are you insane? No, I'm perfectly fine, totally fine. Ikkar, wasn't she your little sister? Sister? This thing? Tell sneered at Ikkar as she looked down at her. The corpse was dissolving into dark crimson mist. Ha 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 ha! Tell ticked Ikkar. The small body rolled and hit the desk. Oh, ha 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 ha! Tell clutched her buddy and burst into laughter. She's corrupted. There had been signs all along. Even when I first met her, her blood had been pitch black. Clear evidence of corruption. She must have been fighting fragments long before Pick Me Up was even created and lost her sanity in the process. There had once been a minimal sense of purpose reviving Mobius, but it seemed even that was gone. She's completely snapped. Absorbing multiple divinities must have worsened her symptoms. She was consumed by madness far beyond my expectations. Without Ikkar...
Yeah, they'll come flooding in soon. Let them come. Let them come as much as they want. I was planning to wipe everything clean anyway. Too many incompetents. I don't need any of them. I can do it alone. Tell wiped the blood from her cheek. A mad smile carved itself on her lips. I will become the one true God and revive it all. Silence. Tell leapt backward. Clang! The giant glass window behind the chairman's room shattered into pieces. I reached out my hand. The binding magic circle was torn apart instantly. The wrecked view of the chairman's room came into full sight. The girl was vanishing with her eyes open wide. I approached Ikkar and closed her eyes. You did well. Ikkar, Tell's twin sister and goddess of compassion. She had once been Tell's reason to protect Mobius, but now it meant nothing. So this was her plan. She sent out the small fry to buy time, then absorbed the other directors. Finally, she absorbed her sister. She must have tried to reach a level similar to mine. In any case, the first operation was a success. Ikkar was dead, and the boundary's restraint was released. It wouldn't be long before the fragments swarmed this place.
The one true God, huh? What a cute goal. I let out a soft laugh, then threw myself out the shattered window where Tell had escaped. Below, the massive city nightscape spread out. In the distance, Tell was falling downward. Yes, this power. With this power, I don't need anything else. I planted my foot on the glass of a building behind me, then started running vertically. Crack! From Tell's back, black-feathered wings burst out with a spurt of blood. My name is Tell Nesserissa Rosementary, goddess of purity and mercy, ruler of this spiral cosmos. Kneel, insects! I alone can save you! Shang! The dragon-scale sword, extending dozens of meters, swept across Tell. Its sharp blade shredded her body into a bloody mess. But this feeling, this pain... Her torn body regenerated instantly. Flutter! Wings spread from Tell's back. Sliding down the building, I let my cape flare. All sorts of magic were launched from Tell's back. Disappointing, Loki. She extinguished the high-level magic containing the secret techniques of the Azure Wing King with a few flaps. Now it's my turn. Foosh! Hundreds of steel feathers shot at me. I ran sideways along the building, dodging the hail of feathers. I shall bestow the goddess's grace upon you, garbage! With wings folded, Tell shot forward. Countless light projectiles were fired along her flight path. Boom! Boom! Boom, boom, boom! Indiscriminate bombardment of magic bullets. The city was engulfed in flames in an instant. Do you hear me, Loki? If you do, respond. Ceres? Yes, I believe an emergency situation has occurred. The barrier built around the boundary has... I know. It's broken, right? The entities of the boundary will flood in. They'll attack Server 1 first. Once that's destroyed, they'll move on to Server 2, then it's over. All servers will be annihilated. You don't need to explain. I already know. What happened? For this to happen, Icar is dead. Icar? No way. It's what you're thinking. Tell's gone mad. I don't think she's sane anymore. She says she'll destroy all of Mobius. That thing up in the sky? Is that the CEO? Looks like she figured it out. Yeah, evacuate everyone from the city. Silence. Ceres paused, then spoke again. That person will be connected soon too. That person? Beep! The communication cut off. I landed on the ground. The endless sound of explosions, fires were rising throughout the city. Transcended? 1. An old man's voice whispered in my ear, a vaguely familiar tone from long ago. I am Ricardus. Title name is Alpha Zero. You're still alive, huh? I've been preparing for this for a long time. I stayed hidden, but thanks to your rampage, I escaped. And just now, I joined with that girl. Silence. There are still those in this city who follow me. They'll help in this fight. Whew! 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 Loud sirens rang everywhere. Code Zero alert. Notice to all personnel residing in Eden. Black emergency Kecht pistol has been issued across all sectors. Eden is now entering emergency defense mode. All personnel, please prepare at their designated locations. Ordinary buildings transformed, revealing large cannons and missile turrets. Why didn't they use those on me? Well, it wouldn't have worked anyway. Do not worry. The city itself is a fortress. It'll hang out for a bit. How long? About an hour. That's enough. I located Tell's position and leapt high, bounding from rooftop to rooftop, soaring to several hundred meters in altitude. Break! Explode! Ha 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 ha! Tell drew an S shape in the sky as she rained down magic bullets. I flipped midair and threw the dragon scale sword. Foosh! The blade pierced Tell's chest. Her body was blown away, crashing through several buildings and exploding. But soon enough, Tell burst from the debris. Loki! My Loki! Die! Please die! Magic bullets and feathers mixed, shooting at me like a machine gun fire. I zigzagged through the air, dodging the bombardment, compressing hundreds of meters in a blink. Crack! My fist smashed into her face. Crack, crack, clack! Every joint in her body twisted in the opposite direction each time my hand brushed her. Sever! I crossed both hands. The dragon scale whip lashed her bloodied body. After kicking Tell hard, I snapped my fingers. She burned, froze, exploded, got crushed, torn, and broken. She regenerated in less than a second. But her body was destroyed even faster. I can feel it. Each time I killed her, power flowed into me. Our battle was one of mutual plundering, but the outcome was already determined. She may have become a being temporarily like me, but only similar, not equal. There was a gap she could never cross. Pity, Tell. Pity me? Don't worry. I'll kill you soon. 1 hour? No, less than 10 minutes. You'll die now.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. Have a suggestion? Let me know in the comments.